Welcome to the Island Times. I'm Tom Patton. Here's part 3 of my interview with Atlantic Beach Mayor Mike Borno, recorded recently at Atlantic Beach City Hall. About a year ago, and this may be a little bit touchier, but about a year ago, the city attorney basically got fired by the commission. Attempted. That's on this, that he was reinstated after public outcry. But even though the issue seems to have died down, when I talked to folks in Atlantic Beach, and particularly when I said I'm going to go talk with Mayor Borno, what should I ask him? I heard on more than one occasion, find out what's going on with the city attorney. So can you tell me where that issue stands right now?
City attorney is gainfully employed by the city of Atlantic Beach at the current time.
Okay.
Now, there was some backdoor maneuvering based on politics of people running for election a little over a year ago. The crux of it comes down to the lack of ability of individuals to talk with the city attorney or talk with the city staff, particularly the city manager, and ask questions and want to be knowledgeable. They totally have frosted that side of it. So then again, when you get in official meeting, they ask the question, they get told what the law is or what the facts are to the situation. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear what they think is incorrect. And so they try to do an undermine. And the issue and he never did get fired. He was attempted to be fired. It was a totally illegal, improper procedure according to Robert's rules, which were sworn at our guidelines, and common sense prevailed. And we still have the situation that we have certain people still don't like what he tells them or don't like what they're being told by staff. That's not how you run a city. You run a city the best information and facts that you have at the time. And you don't beat it to death and try and research it forever and ever and ever. And the same cry, the citizens need to evaluate it. There's a small cadre of people. That's not the citizens. There's less than 50 of them that I can think of that out of 13,000. That's not the citizens.
I was reading on some of your meeting minutes that there's been some talk about opening the city charter and expanding the size of the commission to 7 members from its current 5. Where do you stand on that issue?
That came about at a workshop and was suggested without, in my opinion, no thought given to how we were organized and that. I was against districting when it came about. I was the negative vote on that, and against 4 of the people that thought that was the thing to do. This is a small city. It doesn't need to be district. Everybody has always represented every citizen in this, wherever they live. And I know I have. I can speak for myself, and I can for some others. But districting, to me, is detrimental because by quadrants of our 4 districts that where we have voting, mayor's always wide open. We managed to keep the election of all of our district representatives as a wide open, which I feel strongly, if we're going to have it, needs to be. We should never go to districting where the vote within the district puts the person is. History in this city is, it has been tried over and over again to find qualified candidates, people that meet the qualifications as recorded by the Board of Elections and by our charter to run. There's one area is highly rental. They come and they go, a lot of military turnover, a lot of that. You don't get many people that are really residents there willing to step up to the plate. Public service is a privilege. It's the way it should be looked at. It shouldn't be looked at as a vendetta or trying to bring your own agenda forward and force it down the throats of the people. So people need to look at that, in my opinion, when you run. Run to do the city's business, not to carry your heartburn. Because too often when you investigate the heartburn, there is no factual basis to heartburn. It's your assumption. And it becomes emotional, and when you get emotional, you don't get anywhere. You're not dealing with facts and common sense.
There have been several efforts to revive the Mayport Road corridor. I know that the Chamber of Commerce looked at trying to help develop businesses over in that area. Do you have a vision for that Mayport Road corridor?
The vision should be that we really need to get, and we are working, have worked in the past with ordinances, and we're going to be working more on ordinances. We got ordinances under review by staff getting ready to go to the Community Development Board to put their input into it. But to do some rezoning, to make it more into things that would support the neighborhoods and get away from car lots and service things. There's a need for used car lots, and there's a need for services, but we don't need 2 to 3 miles of it. We need a grocery store.
Right.
We need a reasonable size. It wouldn't make me mad. Everybody will hate my guts when I say it, but a mini Walmart, the small ones like they're intending to build, would be very beneficial. It would cut down a lot of transportation needs that people could walk to reasonably.
There was talk of, and I don't know if Atlantic Beach was one of the, or it would actually be in Jacksonville, the one that's up north of Fleet Landing, where the Food Lion went out. Have there been any discussions about that?
That's Jacksonville. That is the cutoff right there at Fleet Landing's northern border, the old Food Lion and that. I'd like to see something in there.
Sure. You've been a very strong proponent of the Mayport Ferry, and I know from personally the folks that have been working on that project appreciate your efforts in that regard. Where do you see the role of the Mayport Ferry for not only Atlantic Beach, but for the entire A1A corridor?
It's critical. It's an avenue. It's not well advertised, and that we realize, and that we're working on. But it serves a phenomenal purpose to a lot of people. Now that ridership fluctuates because of cost, but it takes a lot of people back and forth over to the shipyard where we've got ships periodically out of the harbor over there that need to transport. Atlantic Beach uses it back and forth. We have people to the north of us that use it to come this direction that work in here. Sure. And so it's been an interesting conversation with Nate Ford when he had the beach's workshop, basically, with JTA out here. And he said it's on his radar.
His quote was, JTA will be involved.
There's no doubt in my mind. There's a lot of avenues being worked on. We're working Tallahassee, we're working the legislators, the FDOT. It doesn't need to be all one quadrant. It can be cooperative. And I think the Citizens Committee that has been put together is phenomenal. Tremendous amount of effort, and I wished again that I had man hours to be able to do a lot of things, but I'm totally supportive. I took Councilman Crescibeni, the chairman of the Citizens Committee, out to Naval Station Mayport, met with Captain Cochran, and wanted to show him the new fender system that I had been involved in when I was on active duty, of changing over the old way of wooden pilings and fenders that were constantly being crushed and be repaired. And you had to shut a berth down to be, if you got it damaged, you couldn't use that area. And it's solid concrete bulkheads. It's got vertical fender system. We took some good photographs. I got them to him, and there's floating fenders that we used to use at replenishment at sea that are a lot larger now. I guess they I think they go $30,000 to $60,000 a pop. But they float, they're on chains, they go with the tide. There's several things. Instead of just the old engineering way, well, a ferry slip, it does have to have a configuration to support the ferry, but that configuration can be built out of different materials that don't have to be torn down and have an astronomical cost. You can build the life cycle maintenance into this thing by thinking outside the square. And he saw it immediately, and I think that is something that will take the engineer and say, okay, go back to the drawing boards and start using your brains. And Navy has indicated through Captain Cochran that he's willing to share any knowledge that we can get from their Public Works Department, the plans, the structure, research, so a lot of time doesn't have to be built on strength factors. Will this do this? It's there already.
One thing more and I'll let you go. You've mentioned many times during this interview the island. How important is it to put a name on this island?
I think it's extremely important. It's the only unnamed island in the United States. To my knowledge, that's what we're told by the Board of Survey at the Geodetic. I can't remember all the name of their system, but I know it's the Board of Survey. And you were there, I guess, when I turned around and told the Beaches Chamber that you know, squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I gave them the applications and sent in your mention. I think it's a shame that St. Augustine, I understand, dug their feet in, and the way they treated Councilman Gulliford going down trying to ask a few questions and basically got this shoved off, saying, well, we'll make our own decisions and this and that. My opinion is, well, I won't go into that opinion. That's the old crux part of it, but I think it should be named. What the name is, I really could care less. It's been talked about, and Curtis Loftus supported his ideas for years of San Pablo Island. Well, everybody then wants to get technical. Well, it's not this or it's not that. Call it Flag Island. Call it Heaven Island. I don't care what you call it. Something you can't tag and tear it apart.
Right.
But my opinion is it should go all the way down to Volano, to the bridge going into St. Augustine, the island itself. And is anybody going to be upset that I live in Atlantic Beach on San Pablo Island? Nope. No. It's not Jacksonville Beaches. We are the beaches. We are part of Jacksonville County, Duval County.
For now.
Well, that's where I was going to go.
Right.
But that's a separate subject. I would not be adverse, and I would support that one in a heartbeat. But
well, but on that Ocean County issue, doesn't that open up an entire whole can of worms to have this side of the intercoastal waterway be its own county with a separate county government, separate county services, all of those things that people might say, wait a minute, we don't want to pay those kinds of taxes?
Take into effect that you already have the tax base here, and how much of it goes to Jacksonville that you get nothing out of. The percentage is high, very high. So you bring those back into it. If you really want to get visionary, make Ocean County go all the way down to Volano Beach. Bring in Nocatee and that whole area. They don't have any beaches. Allow them to be part of the beaches. And if you're going to do it right.
Go big or go home.
That's all right. Don't get and don't get into micromanaging. It's possible. It can be done, and there is talent and knowledge, and there definitely is enough tax base to support Ocean County.
Mike, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks very much for taking some time to talk with me today.
I'm thrilled to death. I enjoyed this, and look forward to doing it with you anytime in the future that you want to do it.
I'll be back, I promise. Atlantic Beach Mayor Mike Borno. For the Island Times, I'm Tom Patton.